Good morning, all you beautiful souls. I'm Reverend Noreen Keller, and I welcome you to this first Sunday of spring at Detroit Center for Spiritual Living in our beautiful sanctuary. I know you can only see a little bit of it, but it is really beautiful. And today, my message I'm sharing with you is from our beloved brother in New Thought and a metaphysical teacher. His name is Derek Rydell. And he posted on Facebook a couple of days ago a wonderful message that I was invited to share with you today because it so resonates with all that Detroit Center for Spiritual Living is and what our mission is to create a world that works for everyone and everything. So I invite you just to take these words into your heart and really embody them for what they are. Thank you. And here we go. So here is what Derek invites us to consider. The pain and loss the virus is causing is tragic. The economic downturn for many will be disastrous. At least short term, no doubt many lives have been negatively impacted by this and will continue to be. But there's another potentially miraculous story emerging. While there will be losses, there may be many big gains as well. Here are some to consider. Less pollution. With many flights and cars and factories no longer running, hundreds of millions, potentially billions of metric tons of carbon dioxide and other pollutants are not being released into the air, the lakes, the streams, and the oceans. The average number of good quality air days in China alone increased 21.5 in February and is spreading around the world. Wonderful, right? Satellite photos are seeing things they've never seen in modern history. Clear skies and images of the earth. What will be the impact on animals and the planet? Over 1 million seabirds and 100,000 sea mammals die each year from pollution. Around 40% of the lakes in America are too polluted for fishing, aquatic life, or swimming. With this breath of fresh air, the earth is now getting natural habitats will start to return, and potentially millions of animals' lives will be spared. Millions of people are sickened by pollution. People in areas with high levels of air pollution have 20% higher risk of death from lung cancer than people who live in less polluted areas. More than 3 million children die annually from environmental factors. That's huge. With this breath of fresh air, potentially millions of lives will be saved, spared disease, or at least live a little longer and healthier. 1.3, this is less car accidents. Interesting concept. 1.35 million people typically die in car accidents every year, and many millions more are badly hurt and suffer terrible consequences. With much fewer people on the road, potentially tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of lives will be saved and spared tremendous pain and suffering. Not to mention the economic savings from auto repair, medical bills, insurance premiums rising, and lawsuits. Less deaths by medical errors. And he invites us to stay with him on this one and goes to invite us to know this. Anywhere from 210,000 to 44,000 people die every year from medical errors. In fact, before the coronavirus, this was considered the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer. With the coronavirus, many surgeries and normal procedures will be postponed. A lot of people who would otherwise be in hospitals won't be. Yes, some people will lose their lives and medical error will still occur, especially with overcrowded hospitals full of coronavirus patients, but many people would have died won't. This doesn't diminish the lives lost, but it's about perspective. If we're going to look at the numbers, we have to look at all of them, not just some, not just the ones the media gives us. Less deaths by all contagious disease. Millions of people die every year from the spread of other diseases. How many of those lives won't get sick or die because of this quarantine? Less violent crimes. With college campuses, bars, schools, businesses, and streets empty now, how many murders, rapes, abductions, kidnappings, sex trafficking, major drug deals, workplace accidents, and other violent crimes won't happen? Economic benefits. While the economic downturn will certainly have a cascading effect that hurts many people and businesses in the short term, what about all the savings or new profits that will emerge as a result? American citizens alone spend trillions of dollars on sports, entertainment, and shopping in bricks and mortar places. While the lack of spending will hurt many companies, the people who work for them and the cascading effects on the economy, the savings from this spending will accrue back to consumers and eventually be put back into the economy. For some, it will become a new normal that allows them to save more in the future, which could then be invested in ways that return even more to their lives and the economy. Again, it's all about the balance sheet, right? If we only look at losses, we aren't addressing the real bottom line. Innovation and progress. The most successful creative people in history are often those who take time to think, self-reflect, and assist and access inspiration and innovative ideas. This has led to many of our biggest breakthroughs in virtually every area of life. During our most difficult times, some of our greatest inventions or solutions have emerged, right? We need to embrace that too. Things that caused a leap forward and led to more profitable businesses, more efficiencies, and better ways of doing things has also emerged in the most difficult times. During this quarantine, how many new insights will come forth that lead to a greater quality of life for millions, or billions? How many new businesses will be born that add billions or trillions into the economy and lift more people out of poverty? Human evolution and healing. During this time where we have less distractions and more limitations on our movement, our focus is turning to family and friends. While there will certainly be challenges living in close quarters with our loved ones and some psychological issues around loneliness, let's consider this. How many more relationships will deepen and heal? How many more real conversations will we have that lead to lifelong healing? How many people will make a deeper connection to their heart and soul? What will all these healings and deepened connections to ourselves and each other produce in our lives, communities, businesses, and the world? A new birth. Yes, this is a scary and difficult time. But isn't almost all progress hard? Hasn't nearly every evolutionary leap we've made been preceded by pain and loss? Aren't most births messy? Yes. In nature, many of the most important activities that lead to growth and sustainability are violent. If we could prevent these critical conditions from happening, fires, storms, and the circle of life, nature would eventually collapse, and all of humanity with her. A new bottom line. We have become a world that largely values profits over people and the planet. Most of our focus has become on matter instead of what matters. As the structures we've leaned on begin to crumble, we begin to lean on new and other deeper things. In times of crisis, we often get closer and think deeper. We realize we have gotten lost and begin to find our way home again. When we lose something, especially control, we have no choice but to find our ground in a place that is more solid, a place that the world can't touch or take away from us. Out of these moments of chaos, a new order always emerges. With higher values and aspirations, what matters to us changes. What matters to us changes. These changes influence governments and businesses, forcing them to add new line items to their bottom line, whether they like it or not. Countries that were enemies become allies. Places of poverty become centers of industry. People of color and women get the vote. People on the outside get included. So what new bottom line will emerge from this bottoming out? In this pandemic, is tragedy, or is it a miracle? Is it a step backwards or the beginning of forward progress? That is the question. Is it the end of the world or the evolution of it? This isn't lights out. It's a time out. Mother Nature has sent us all to our room to think about what we've done and how we're going to change our behavior. So take a breath of fresh air and think about it. Do the math yourself. Derek completes with this. Take good care of yourself and each other. Now, more than ever, we need love. Even if the doors of our homes and businesses are closed, we must always keep open the doors of our hearts. And so it is. Namaste. I leave you with this reading from our beloved founder of religious science, Dr. Ernest Holmes. And the book that I'm reading from is The 365 Science of Mind. It's actually from yesterday's reading, the last paragraph. March 21st. Today, I affirm my faith in God's presence dwelling within me. And I ask no one for any justification of my conviction. Boldly I proclaim this presence, and humbly I accept its authority in my life. The divine, governing everything out of itself, knows how to guide my life toward happiness, toward peace, toward perfection, toward fulfillment. There is no barrier or bar to the possibilities of its expression, no restriction to its dynamic creativeness, because it is self-existent in all things. This is the secret I hold with the invisible. Alone with God, I make my claim. And in the integrity of my own soul, I fear no opposition to it. And so it is, and so be it. I invite you to consider visiting our website, www.detroitcsl.org, to donate, tithe, or pledge an amount of currency that will allow this center to move forward in this time with fulfilling our mission, our purpose, to create a world that works for everyone and everything. So be it, and so it is.